All right, we are back for another Live It with Deacon Richard Grant. And you know, you're called to become a deacon. It's specifically a call to service, right?
Absolutely.
And we have that covenant in That Man Is You about finding Christ, finding God and other people. How do those two things kind of fit together?
Well, you know, when we're called to the diaconate, lots of people are mistaken that they think, well, the diaconate is just really a notch before priesthood, which is not at all. The diaconate is a completely separate entity. Deacons are called to do very specific things, to preach the gospel, to visit those who are elderly, to visit the imprisoned, and that's what we do as deacons. Our lives, our roles are all about service, right. Assisting those at our parish, assisting those at Mass, and that's what we're called to do. And a lot of what we do always kind of goes back, at least for me, to that parable of the unforgiving servant. When you think about that parable, and you can look it up, it's in chapter 18 of Matthew's Gospel, but we know that the story is about the king who forgave the servant of his great debt. And then at the end, the ungrateful servant, he punished him severely. But the ultimate part of that story is that the king really puts himself in the shoes, so to speak, of his servant. And he feels the mercy and everything that this man needs, because he was able to see the face of Christ in his servant. He was able to be with his servant in that way. You know, when we hear all the time that we are made in the image and likeness of God, you know, it's not just me.
Right.
But it's everybody. It's all the people that we see as well. And we have to see the face of Christ in them, because they are also made in the image and likeness of God. Compassion is that lens through which we must look. That Jesus invites us to consider the compassion in our own lives. And that parable is one in which we see that compassion of Jesus, that mercy that he has, that our God is a good and loving God, and his mercy is without end. Amen.
Amen. So thank you for your service to the church. And I think our Live It tip for this week, what we can take from this is, even within our own homes, right, we can be called to this service. And if we truly find the face of Christ hidden in our wife and our children and everyone we meet, that reality, that mystical reality, will help us do it joyfully.
Absolutely.
Right? Amen. We'll see you next week for one more Live It with Deacon Richard Grant.
Thank you for the upgrade.
He who is a father as well.